Breaking news! What's up, Bills Mafia? What do you think of Sean McDermott's performance on our team so far? If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you think he can help the Bills reach the next Super Bowl, right, Sean Bills, and let's go with all the strength we have. With the 2025 NFL Draft now officially behind us, Buffalo Bills fans are buzzing, and not just because of the selections made, but because of the surprising and somewhat controversial analysis delivered by Mel Kiper Jr., ESPN's NFL draft guru. Kiper's final grade for the Bills? A B-. That might sound decent on paper, but when you dig into the reasoning, you start to wonder, did he miss something big that Brandon Beane and the Bills front office saw all along? Today, we're diving deep into the real story behind this draft class, what Mel Kiper got right, what he might have gotten wrong, and why this Bills roster might just be quietly building something special that nobody is ready for. Starting with the first round, one undeniable issue the Bills needed to address was at cornerback. In 2024, Buffalo's defense allowed opponents to complete 68.5% of their passes, the fifth highest mark in the NFL, and gave up conversions on 43.8% of third downs, the fourth worst. With Russell Douglas gone and Kerry Elam traded, the Bills desperately needed a solution, and while they made minor moves like signing Dane Jackson, it wasn't enough. Enter Maxwell Harrison. The pick made too much sense. With 4.28 speed and elite ball skills, Harrison promises to inject serious juice into a secondary that needed it desperately. Brandon Beane made it very clear this offseason, speed was going to be a theme. Whether it was at wide receiver or cornerback, the Bills had to get faster, and Harrison fits that bill perfectly. He's already penciled in to start opposite Christian Benford, forming a dynamic cornerback duo. Add in the return of veteran Trey White as a mentor, and suddenly the Bills' secondary doesn't just look patched up, it looks potentially dangerous. Dane Jackson now slots in a solid depth, and rookie Dorian Strong adds even more layers to a cornerback room that is looking downright competitive. Now, while the safety group wasn't heavily addressed in the draft, there's no panic there. Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop are expected to hold down the fort. Sure, injuries could cause some turbulence down the road, but overall, it's a group with a strong foundation moving forward. It's worth noting that while Trey Amos was ranked higher on some boards than Harrison, there's no doubt among Buffalo insiders, Harrison is the right fit for what the Bills needed immediately. Are you happy with the Harrison pick at 30 overall? Would you have preferred someone else? Let me know, because honestly, it feels like Brandon Beane nailed this one. Moving on to day 2, where the real drama happened. Defensive tackle and wide receiver were major needs entering the draft. The Bills checked the first box by trading up to select T.J. Sanders. Now, this is where Mel Kiper raised eyebrows. Sanders was ranked 126th on Kiper's board. Buffalo picked him at 41st. On paper, a massive reach. But here's the thing. Sanders is exactly what the Bills needed. Last season, Buffalo's defensive line managed just 8 sacks from the interior, third fewest in the league. Sanders specializes in generating inside pressure, and his fit alongside Ed Oliver feels almost too perfect. And here's a key point. Time and again, Brandon Beane has shown he knows how to find value beyond the first round. So while Kiper might view it as a reach, history suggests that when Beane sees a guy he loves, he's often right. Sanders wasn't the only reinforcement up front, though. Buffalo landed Landon Jackson, an edge rusher with a reputation for setting a hard edge, and Deon Walker, a 6 feet 7 inches, 331-pound defensive tackle who clogs running lanes with ease. Honestly, these picks feel like steals. Walker, in particular, was expected to go on day 2 but fell to the 4th round. Now, instead of being a defensive line desperate for upgrades, Buffalo's front is looking like a legitimate strength. And it's not just the starters, the depth is there too. Imagine the possibilities for Bobby Babich, mixing and matching lineups, keeping the rotation fresh, sending relentless pressure without even having to blitz heavily. That's the Eagles' model for defensive success, and it might just be Buffalo's now, too. At defensive end, Landon Jackson slots behind A.J. Epineza, and Walker adds insurance behind Daquan Jones. The versatility and depth could be the X factor for the Bills' defense heading into 2025. But the offense? That's where Mel Kiper docked them points. Buffalo didn't draft a wide receiver until pick 240, taking Caden Prather. That's only the second time in the common draft era that the Bills used their first 5 picks exclusively on defense, the last time being way back in 2006. On top of that, they added Chase Lund as a depth right tackle and Jackson House as a blocking tight end. In Kiper's view, Josh Allen's offensive weapons didn't improve in this draft. He hinted that Buffalo could come to regret not doing more to help their superstar quarterback. But here's where things get spicy. Brandon Beane himself fired back. In a call to WGR 550, he pointed out that in 2024, the Bills were the highest scoring team in the entire NFL, including the playoffs, outscoring even the Super Bowl champion Eagles, and that was without adding major new weapons mid-season. The offense wasn't the problem. Stopping opponents was, and the 2025 draft shows that the Bills were laser-focused on fixing that. They did make off-season moves to bolster the offense, bringing in Josh Palmer on a $12 million a year deal after moving on from Amari Cooper, who hadn't quite lived up to expectations. Palmer, combined with Keon Coleman's expected second-year leap and Khalil Shacker continuing his growth after getting paid, gives Buffalo a receiving core that's arguably stronger than last season's. Beane's message was clear: trust the plan. The Bills didn't just patch holes, they built a foundation that could dominate for years to come. They're betting that Josh Allen doesn't need more weapons to put points on the board. What he needs is a defense that can finally get off the field on third down, finally force turnovers, and finally close out games. That's why the narrative around Buffalo's draft is so fascinating. It's easy to get caught up in big names and flashy picks. It's harder to recognize a strategic shift when it's happening. The Bills didn't chase headlines, they built a team. But what do you think? Bills Mafia, did Brandon Beane make the right call focusing so heavily on defense? Or do you wish the Bills had been more aggressive adding firepower around Josh Allen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear what you think. And when you think about it, Bills Mafia, how often does a team truly revolutionize its entire future in one draft without anyone really noticing it until it's too late? That's the kind of energy this 2025 Buffalo Bills draft class is starting to give off. Quiet, strategic, devastatingly effective. The kind of moves that don't make you win the press conference, but make you win in January and February when it actually matters. Let's peel back a few more layers. Look closer at the defensive line. Buffalo's ability to bring in both pass rushers and run stuffers in the same draft was no accident. T.J. Sanders, Landon Jackson, Deion Walker, these aren't just names. These are the types of players who were down offensive lines over 4 quarters. Jackson's ability to set the edge, Walker's massive frame clogging running lanes, and Sanders collapsing the pocket from the interior. If you think back to how the Bills' playoff runs have ended recently, what was missing? Defensive stops at critical moments. Now imagine an AFC championship game where the Bills can rotate fresh monsters onto the line every drive without missing a beat. That's the nightmare scenario they're quietly building. And there's another angle not enough people are talking about: culture. By going heavy on defense, Brandon Beane is reestablishing an identity, a Buffalo identity. Hard-nosed, physical, relentless. For years, the Bills have been known primarily as Josh Allen's team, a high-flying offense capable of trading punches with anyone. But when you build a team that can win 17-14 games as well as 41-38 shootouts, that's when you become truly dangerous. Now, it's true, Buffalo didn't make a splashy first-round pick at wide receiver. They didn't load up on weapons the way some fans might have dreamed. But when you consider the full context, Josh Palmer's arrival, Keon Coleman's upside, Khalil Shacker stepping firmly into his prime, it starts to look less like a missed opportunity and more like strategic restraint. Why draft